It's 80 times more powerful than its predecessor.
We wanted to get a lot more CPU and graphics horsepower.
It's designed to take gaming to the next level.
We've got Dolby 5.1, we've got high def. Everything's ready to go for you.
We weren't driving toward a spec, we weren't driving toward a marketing campaign. We were driving for how do we make real games as good as they possibly can be.
And it's poised to become the new king of interactive entertainment.
And we're going after people. People on Earth is our market. Our strategy is to provide a great platform for game creators to do their best work. It's that simple.
It's the Xbox 360, and this is its story. In 2001, the console wars are raging. The software giant Microsoft finds itself playing a role that it's not accustomed to, the underdog.
On Xbox One, our goals were pretty simple. It was beat Sony's performance and get to market faster than anyone's ever developed a game console.
We were new to the market, brand new product in an established environment. Sony already had a huge installed base by the time we hit the streets. They'd been out about 18 months before we launched.
The challenge on Xbox One was all about time to market and maximize performance. We knew what Sony's architecture was, we knew we had to trump that architecture, and we knew we had to develop it in 18 months, faster than anybody had ever developed a game console.
Well, this is a very big night. It's a night that we've been waiting for over 18 months.
The launch itself was really successful.
3, 2, 1.
When we did launch, we sold out every one we had. We had a pretty good launch lineup, and we just kept building momentum. Xbox Live launched a year later. We pushed out around the world in the year.
Look at this mode, look, I'm on fire!
So we were very, very happy with the launch of Xbox.
By August 2005, 13 million Xbox consoles are sold in the US. A strong showing for a newcomer. But it's short of Sony's established base of 30 million PlayStation 2s. While the original Xbox is anything but a failure, Microsoft has already set its sights on the next round.
The Xbox 360 program started back in 2002.
The code name for the product was Xenon.
The lessons learned from the first Xbox prove invaluable.
When we think about Xbox, it was really kind of learning the business. Microsoft had never done a game console before, hadn't really done a hardware business at this scale before. So there was a lot to learn, just about how to run a business, how to sustain the business.
They wanted to get a foothold in the market. They wanted to figure out what worked.
As we got into the market, we realized there was a lot more to the business that we didn't understand. Actually building a successful business on the financial side and building a bigger ecosystem where more of our partners could make profit.
One of the big lessons we learned from Xbox was being more of a worldwide company. Xbox was kind of a US-centric product. I mean, it's a bunch of Microsoft guys, team members that got together and built a product. One of the things we learned was, hey, we didn't build a box that was as universally appealing as we'd have liked. So in Japan, it was a little intimidating. It was black, it was big. It wasn't something that they necessarily wanted to have in their home. In Europe, again, the black box wasn't as universally as interesting.
At that time, we didn't know exactly what our architecture was going to be. We didn't know when Sony was going to launch. We didn't know what Nintendo's position in the market was going to be. So rather than picking a final architecture early on, we built a flexible architecture with some high-level goals and premises around how should we make architectural trade-offs.
We got all together and said, how can we build the best overall product? And we went through a process of time where we actually sat down and developed a plan. Basically a 30-page document that said, here's what we'd like to build. And we did that in the context of a worldwide product. How do we address the Japanese market? How do we address the European market? How do we address the US market? How do we look at other regions around the world? How do we attract a broader audience? How do we make it great for the hardcore gamer?
As the Xenon team puts together a game plan for the Xbox 360, Microsoft starts looking for the next generation technology that will power it. Armed with the lessons learned with the first Xbox, Microsoft begins to piece together their next console bit by bit.
We didn't want to be second to market again. So what that meant to us was that we felt we had to be ready in 2005.
It's important for Microsoft to come out first because if they want to beat Sony, who's the market leader 2 generations in a row, they need every single tool they can use, including the early launch, to get ahead of Sony.
We started working on a 360 plan, putting together the early details, working on what we thought the hardware plan was going to be.
It's a really interesting process because you're always balancing this ultimate design that you want to have against technological constraints, schedules constraints. All these things can affect what you can do from a design standpoint. So you look at things and say, well, this is the ultimate experience. And then we go over to the hardware team and they say, oh my goodness, if you do that, that adds 2 cents. So like, 2 cents? Oh, well, 2 cents times X million is a lot of money.
Well, there's some basic features, if you will, that we want in all of the 360 games. High definition games is one of them, for example. Games that look great in 16:9 high definition, games that have full surround 5.1 audio.
Well, the HD era, we're really on this turning point for the industry. From the 2D to 3D generation of gaming, all sorts of things changed. A lot of rules changed, a lot of the players changed, and obviously the experience that the gamer received changed as well. We're now on the next shift, which is really from 3D to high def.
The real key to the system itself is making sure we have a system that's powerful to developers to really get to what we call the HD era. We made a decision a while back to really invest in the system memory, and so as a result, developers now have 512 megs of system memory to deal with. Enough memory for them to really deliver a true next-generational and high-definition experience.
Wanted to get a lot more CPU and graphics horsepower. It quickly became clear that to get the level of performance that we needed, NVIDIA and ATI were the 2 front runners. The big advantage that ATI gave for us is they shared our vision of the HD era. ATI shared that vision of how can we maximize the real performance for real games. We weren't driving toward a spec, we weren't driving toward a marketing campaign. We were driving for how do we make real games as good as they possibly can be.
And then once you're ready to go for HD, we're ready there for you because we've got Dolby 5.1, we've got high def, everything's ready to go for you.
At the heart of the Xbox 360 are 3 IBM CPUs that, when combined, are 80 times more powerful than the original Xbox.
We picked IBM over a bunch of different suppliers mainly because of the efficiency of their architecture. By efficiency, I mean trying to cram as much CPU horsepower into a very small package, a very small console. Those were key elements in picking IBM.
They were willing to work with us in terms of giving us control of our own destiny, in terms of silicon manufacturing. We can control that. So you want to find a partner who's willing to work with you in that respect. So long-term roadmap, partnership, lots of business issues again, but ultimately it was the right partnership for us.
Microsoft wants developers to harness all this newfound power as easily as possible.
A real asset that we built in Xbox was our partnership with both developers and publishers, something we focused on very early and something historically Microsoft has actually done pretty well.
Microsoft's also done a really good job of supporting third-party developers. Ubisoft, THQ, EA, and Activision, and they all have said Microsoft's been really helpful.
Also, efforts are redoubled to capture the interest of Japanese game companies.
Japanese game developers has been a tough group for us because we haven't been as successful in Japan. But I think we're doing some really smart things now. We're forging some great partnerships with some of the best historical Japanese developers.
Sakaguchi-san, as the creator of Final Fantasy, is going to be doing 2 individual proprietary pieces of intellectual property that will be exclusive for Xbox 360. Mizuguchi-san is one of my favorite developers. We all love things like Space Channel 5 and Rez. And of course, Okamoto-san, most famous for his work on Resident Evil.
They've done a good job of getting Japanese developers on board.
And through it all, Bill Gates himself keeps tabs on the progress.
On Xbox One, I met Bill 2 times in 2 different meetings during the course of a 4-year program. On Xbox 360, for the first year of the development, we were in the boardroom almost once a month. He was so excited about the product that he just wanted to get involved and wanted to be down here on the Millennium campus helping us.
While Microsoft works on the insides of the new Xbox, it focuses an equal amount of attention on the outside.
We thought maybe this could have a hamburger in it, but so we didn't really think that it worked that well.
360 is shaping up to be a gaming powerhouse, and Microsoft wants to make sure that its new system's appearance reflects its amazing abilities.
We started with this guy, which was a really wonderful box. It worked really well, but let's just say it needed a little more love in terms of design aesthetic. So we thought, well, where can we go with this?
If we think about Japan and some of the issues we've had in Japan as regards the inability of us really to get going, quite frankly, one of the core issues has been the design of the current Xbox.
That system was gigantic. It was heavy, and it didn't appeal to anybody but Americans and a few Europeans. It was way too big for the Japanese market, and Microsoft tanked in Asia. Tanked. I mean, they didn't sell badly, they sold horribly.
So the criteria I laid out for the brand team at that time was, we have got to be able to satisfy the Japanese gamer. We actually looked at 5 different design companies from around the world. It narrowed down to 2 companies.
One was Astro in San Francisco, and another one is hers in Osaka. Got to a point where designs were going back and forth between hers and Astro. And so they started playing with, what's the button going to look like? What happens when you actually have enough ports for gameplay and all those kind of things? And so it started really drawing in.
The design of the box and the form factor that we ultimately landed on is always a trade-off between mechanical constraints, being thermal and physical constraints, versus industrial design. It's very similar to an architect and a civil engineer building a skyscraper. The best-looking design may not be able to be built. The most robust design may be very straightforward, ugly, not the type of thing you'd want to actually build.
What we wanted was this breathe-in quality, where it breathes in. You get this sense of power as though you're in the blocks and starting a race, or the analogy was Bruce Lee pulling back to do a punch.
On one end of the spectrum, if you make the box too small, you end up with a box that is too hot, too loud, with the fans having to churn a lot of air through that box to cool it off, too high of a cost in miniaturization cost. The other end of the spectrum, if you build only a mechanical design solution, you end up with a very large, ugly box. It may be quiet, but it's not aesthetically pleasing.
We did user studies. We went through around the world, Germany, France, England, United States, parts of Asia, talked to different designers, talked to different gamers and said, what are you interested in? And it started taking shape. We kind of had some interesting changes here. This one came from Japan, and it had a very nice pillowy feature to it and had the handle. Again, it was not a practical box. Really, what we were trying to do is see what people responded to. It really ran the gamut. I mean, you got this kind of guy, which has some nice features on it in terms of the chrome and all that, but it's still pretty boxy and might look like someone else you might know. This came from a very high-end designer. We thought maybe it could have a hamburger in it, but so we didn't really think that it worked that well. Oop, look at that. There was some sleek designs too that brought in things like glass textures, and these are really explorations.
So what you will see is somewhat concave. It has what we call the iconic gesture. That gesture is iconic enough that makes it distinctive, but not so bold and brash that will make it look, if you will, out of fashion after a couple of years.
And what we ended up with was this design. And you can see there's a lot of what was here has been incorporated into the final design. You get the gesture, you get the breathe in, you get a design aesthetic that is more appealing to a wider audience. You get some of the chrome and some of the finer lines, the organic lines, but there's still an architectural quality about it, and a simple quality that allows you to really get a sense that this is a high-quality machine. You can see the difference between the two.
A few finishing touches round out the final package.
You'll be able to take the faceplate off and snap on a faceplate either absolutely personalized to what you want to do.
This is our favorite feature too, is that we have the ring of light. It's the thing that tells you how many controllers are actually attached to the system. And you see that this is in the upper left position. Okay, you ready for this big move? All right, ready, here we go. So it's in position 1 now. Oh, look at that, ooh.
An equal amount of care is given to the design of the Xbox 360 controller.
So the areas where we put lots and lots of energy into this is the gamepad itself. People are going to be holding this for hours on end, playing games, playing different types of games that use the control sets in different ways.
We did tons and tons of user testing, and we went through all kinds of iterations, some of them even laughable, like this one. And what we did is we actually tried different sizes and shapes. So you kind of go, oh, how's that feel? You'd pass this around a whole basket full of these and go, how's that feel in your hand? Oh, I don't know, that feels pretty good. And then you hand it to somebody else and they go, no, that doesn't feel good.
One of the key elements to making the console as unique as it is the decision to go wireless on the gamepads.
The Xbox 360 controller is not a revolutionary controller. It's an evolutionary controller. Microsoft took the basic shape of the S controller from the Xbox and refined it and polished it and crafted it to a much more ergonomically fit controller. It's lighter, it's very sturdy, it feels good in your hands.
But no matter how well designed a controller is, no matter how slick a console looks, it all comes down to the games, and Microsoft knows it. Microsoft knows that having a solid launch lineup can play a big role in the success of the Xbox 360. And that's why it's pulling out the big guns.
The world's best game creators are building experiences on our console that satisfy gamers and actually reflect the change that our industry and that the consumers are facing right now.
There's no super stinkers out there. You've got 4 games from Activision, all pretty hefty games. They're all franchise games except for Gun. You've got a bunch of EA games, all franchise games. Madden, Tiger Woods, FIFA, all that. They really show off the Xbox 360's power.
Well, I think the key is going to be the games. And when we look at what we have on slate for the launch window, finally, Rare in the UK will come to bear on this platform. Perfect Dark Zero will be in the launch window. The GoldenEye team have been working on Perfect Dark Zero now for close to 3 years.
The other thing about the launch is that Microsoft's 3 games, Cameo, Elements of Power, Perfect Dark Zero, and Project Gotham Racing 3, are all some of the best games on the system in terms of both playability and graphics.
Gamers get a glimpse of the new system and its games at E3 and X05.
At E3, we showed some games. They were okay, but it was early development, early hardware. X05 was really our coming out party. We wanted to show people what great games we're going to have on the platform at launch.
When we came to X05, we were relieved, happy, satisfied that these games actually were going to come through. This was going to be a good launch after all.
Turning on the Xbox 360 reveals plenty of new features, including a major upgrade to Xbox Live.
So, to start off the experience, we've got this new great button. It's the Xbox Guide button. It not only helps you get through your overall experience on the gaming system, but it also allows you to turn on the system. There are 4 blades. There's a Live blade, Games, Media, and System. If you're hooked up to Live, the blade that'll default is the Live blade, and it gives you all the access to your message center, to your friends, and also to Marketplace. And Marketplace is a place where you'll be able to download new gamer pictures, new tracks, different themes that go with your faceplates, or just themes in general. On the Games blade, you have the ability to look at your achievements, how many games you've played. The Media blade gives you access to all of your digital entertainment. You have access to music. So you can hook in an iRiver. Also, you can plug in a camera, set up a slideshow, play music over it.
In Xbox Live now, we've created what we call gamer zones. In gamer zones, you can kind of place yourself where you want to be on the spectrum of gamers. So if you're just kind of a recreational gamer, we have a gamer zone called Recreation. But if you're a really hardcore gamer and you really like to play hard and you want to win that world championship, we have Pro.
When the Xbox 360 launches on November 22nd, 2005, Microsoft tries a new approach to pricing.
So there are 2 versions of the Xbox 360 product. The first version is the Xbox 360 Core system, which is a low-cost value system that allows people to get into the product, plays every game, loses no long-term features. You can upgrade to the Core system to the full 360 system at any time through aftermarket accessories. The Xbox 360 system, on the other hand, was optimized to have everything you need out of the box for a great gaming experience. It's optimized for high definition, for the hard drive, for Xbox Live, with all the cables and connections you need. wireless connectivity with wireless gamepads. That's the system where the highest value is packed into that system for the gamer that wants the ultimate next-generation experience.
For the first time ever, a console will ship in all 3 major markets of the world in the same holiday. So you will see North America, quickly followed by Europe, and then followed by Japan.
As the Xbox 360 takes its first steps into the world, Microsoft is already preparing for the future.
The 360's primary upgrade path is the software architecture that we've designed. It's designed to be scalable and upgradable. On the hardware space, because we designed a console that had a flexible architecture, for example, the PCI Express bus exists on the motherboard. So doing a derivative motherboard and a derivative product where we wanted to add features would be very easy for us to do.
That's the interesting thing about this business, is the finish line is the beginning. In many, many ways. Once it gets out there, people are going to take control of it, and the community will start driving it, and they'll grow it and build it, and they'll turn into something that none of us expected.
Yeah, we're going after people. People on Earth is our market. Our strategy is to provide a great platform for game creators to do their best work. It's that simple.
Obviously, they want to do well with the system. They want to hammer Sony in all of its sell points. They want to kick their ass in online. They want to kick their ass in interface. They want to have a bunch of great games. They want to get out there a year ahead of them and really, really take it to Sony. They want to be first. They want to be the #1 console maker in the market.
I'm really excited about seeing the launch. It's been over 3 years focusing on this product, and to look back at early slide decks, PowerPoint vision of what the product could be 3 years ago to what we actually are delivering now, we got to 99% of that original vision, which is amazing to me.